Today our topic is what the samurai and Stoics have in common. At first glance, the samurai of ancient Japan and the Stoics of ancient Greece and Rome might seem like very different groups. One is known for their skill with the sword, their code of honor, and their role as warriors. The other is known for their philosophy, their focus on reason, and their teachings about how to live a good life. But if we look closer, we can see that these two groups share some important ideas about life, discipline, and how to face challenges. Both the samurai and the Stoics believed in living with purpose, mastering their emotions, and accepting the things they could not control. These ideas are not just old lessons from history, they are still useful for us today. Let's start with the samurai. The samurai were warriors who lived in Japan for hundreds of years. They followed a code called a Bushido, which means the way of the warrior. This code taught them to be brave, loyal, and honorable. A samurai was expected to face death without fear, to serve their master with complete dedication, and to live with integrity. They believed that life was short and uncertain, so they focused on living in a way that would bring them honor, even if it meant sacrificing their own lives. The samurai knew that they could not control everything in life, but they could control how they responded to it. They trained not only their bodies but also their minds, so they could stay calm and focused even in the most difficult situations. The Stoics, on the other hand, were philosophers who lived in ancient Greece and Rome. Famous Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius taught people how to live a good life by focusing on what they could control and letting go of what they could not. The Stoics believed that the key to happiness was not in external things like money, fame, or power, but in developing inner strength and wisdom. They taught that we should accept whatever happens in life, whether it is good or bad, because everything is part of a larger plan that we cannot see. The Stoics also believed in self-discipline, in controlling our emotions, and in living with virtue. They said that we should not let fear, anger, or sadness control us, but instead we should use reason to guide our actions. So what do the samurai and the Stoics have in common? First, both groups believed in the importance of self-discipline. For the samurai, this meant training their bodies and minds every day, so they could be ready for battle at any moment. They practiced martial arts, meditation, and other skills to stay strong and focused. The Stoics also believed in self-discipline, but for them, it was more about controlling their thoughts and emotions. They practiced techniques like negative visualization, where they imagined the worst-case scenario, so they could prepare themselves mentally and not be caught off guard by life's challenges. Both the samurai and the Stoics knew that self-discipline is not easy, but it is necessary if we want to live with purpose and strength. Second, both the samurai and the Stoics believed in accepting the things we cannot control. The samurai knew that they could not control when or how they would die, but they could control how they faced death. They believed that by accepting the possibility of death, they could live more fully and courageously. The Stoics had a similar idea. They taught that we cannot control external events, like the weather, other people's actions, or even our own health. But we can control how we respond to these events. They said that by accepting what we cannot change, we can find peace and avoid unnecessary suffering. This idea is called the dichotomy of control, and it is one of the most important lessons from Stoicism. Third, both the samurai and the Stoics believed in living with virtue. For the samurai, this meant following the code of Bushido, which included values like honesty, respect, and loyalty. They believed that a true warrior was not just someone who was good at fighting, but someone who lived with honor and integrity. The Stoics also believed in living with virtue, but for them, virtue meant things like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. They said that these were the only things that truly mattered in life, because they could not be taken away from us. Both the samurai and the Stoics believed that living with virtue was more important than achieving success or gaining power. Another thing the samurai and the Stoics had in common was their focus on the present moment. The samurai knew that life was short and unpredictable, so they tried to live fully in the present. They did not waste time worrying about the past or the future, but instead, they focused on what they could do right now. The Stoics also believed in the importance of the present moment. They said that the past is gone and the future is uncertain, so the only time we have is now. They taught that we should not waste our time on things that do not matter, but instead we should focus on what is truly important. Finally, both the samurai and the Stoics believed in facing challenges with courage and calmness. The samurai knew that they would face many difficult situations in their lives, whether it was in battle or in their personal lives. They trained themselves to stay calm and focused, even in the most dangerous situations. The Stoics also believed in facing challenges with courage. They said that life will always have difficulties, but we should not let these difficulties break us. Instead, we should see them as opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. Both the samurai and the Stoics believe that the way we face challenges says a lot about who we are. So, what can we learn from the samurai and the Stoics? First, we can learn the importance of self-discipline. Whether it is training our bodies, our minds, or our emotions, self-discipline is the key to living a good life. Second, we can learn to accept the things we cannot control. By letting go of what we cannot change, we can find peace and focus on what really matters. Third, we can learn to live with virtue. Whether it is honesty, courage, or kindness, living with virtue is more important than any external success. Fourth, we can learn to focus on the present moment. Life is short, and we should not waste it on things that do not matter. Finally, we can learn to face challenges with courage and calmness. Life will always have difficulties, but we can choose how we respond to them. The samurai and the Stoics may have lived in different times and places, but their wisdom is timeless. They remind us that life is not about avoiding challenges or seeking comfort, but about living with purpose, strength, and honor. By following their example, we can learn to live better lives, no matter what challenges we face. So, let us take inspiration from the samurai and the Stoics, and strive to live with discipline, acceptance, virtue, and courage. In doing so, we can find meaning and peace in our own lives.